Hello, it's come to my attention that I might need to share a little more information about how to host a Fireworks Mania multiplayer beta server or how to host a game, because right now it's in a beta. So there's, first of all, I'm trying out different things, see what works, what doesn't work, and there's no UI for everything, not at all, and not much help description and stuff like that, because I obviously haven't done that, as I'm still trying to figure out what works to prevent spamming and still make the game fun and stuff like that. So therefore, a lot of the settings is done via commands, and there is also a lot of stuff that you should know that is maybe not too intuitive or obvious when you just start and play the game. But anyway, let me talk about some different things that you should know when you are hosting a server. So just some tips and tricks. This will not be a very edited video. I will do maybe a few cuts, but mainly it's just me talking about some bullet points I've put down here because I'm getting some questions for this. Okay, the first thing that you need to know is that the amount of mods that you put into a game, and we can take it, let's take it here. Right now, the way you put mods into, let's go back and see how you host a game. So you click multiplayer and you click create host, which is down here behind my screen here or my camera here. So you create this, create host, and then it will list all the maps you have installed. Currently there's only one map built into the game, but you can get a lot of maps from the workshop. Then there is a title for the server and a description. Then there is a max amount of player that can join, and you can put it to 64, but it's not really recommended to do this at this point because it will be too laggy with the current setup. So I will keep it as low as possible because that will give the best experience. Then you can choose if it's a private game or not. Private game, if it's a private game as it is here, it will not show up in the list out here. You can see the code. It will not show up in this list, but you can just share the code with people you want to join. So if you want to avoid having a lot of strangers getting to a server, you just click this little button here, and only the ones you provide with the code gets into your server. Then there is the max allowed spawn item per player. This one is actually able, these you cannot change these once you first started the game, but for instance this one can actually be changed in the game, but we get to that later with the commands. But basically what this means is that this is the amount of items currently it covers all items. That might change later. A lot of this might change later. This is how it is as January 2024. But this is the max amount of items that a player can spawn in a game. Currently, the host, meaning you, if you are hosting the game, can spawn as much as you want because you're the host, you decide what to do. But all the players, all the clients joining your server can only spawn maximum of this amount here, so 15 in this case. This is a setting that is very important to prevent spamming. If you want to have a big server with a lot of stranger people you don't know, I recommend setting this fairly low because it's the internet. People will join and will spam your server. So maybe some of them do it on purpose to destroy the server just because, yeah, that's how the internet is apparently. But people also might do it because they don't know better. They are just used to play the normal game where you can just spawn as much as you want. But that's not how it works when you're playing online with other players. It's simply not possible to have the same amount of items in the game. Anyway, then there's these settings here. It's the same as in the old game, if you remember. Auto despawn, use fireworks. I recommend having that turned on because that means that fireworks that have been used will auto despawn and therefore not take up network traffic and host power and stuff like that to keep them in the game with physics and all that. Apply explosion forces. That's just if something explodes, will it actually push other stuff away, meaning players and other items. You can turn that on and off. It's funny to have on, but if you want to have a little more performance, you can turn it off. Apply ignition forces. That means that item exploding or fireworks can turn on other stuff, can ignite other stuff. So if you turn this off, fireworks will not ignite other fireworks. So if you do a pile of fireworks and you put a firecracker in the middle and turn that and explode that, ignite that, it will not turn any of the other ones on. So that's for performance reasons. This can also be good to turn off because then only the stuff you actually ignite explode. But it's also a little boring if things are not chain reacting and stuff like that. Anyway, so this is how you host a game. And then you just click host game and it will start up. Right now, you don't pick on this what mods you will have in the game. That might change in the future. I would like it to be on here somewhere, so you click on what mods you want to have on your server. But right now, it's whatever you have enabled in the workshop. So here in the Discovery tab on the workshop, that's where you of course can subscribe and you can find and search for new mods. But the collections show what mods you have actually subscribed to and which one are enabled or disabled. And this is very important because subscribe means that it will check for updates, but only if they are enabled. And it will only load them in a game if they are enabled. So in my case here, you can see I have the Amnesty Germantown enabled. That's why it shows up when I go in here. But I don't have anything else turned on. So if I started the game now, it wouldn't load any mods. I could just go in here and go to flat and start, and it will be no mods. So let's say I want to host one and I want to have some mods in. I just enabled the mods I want. I of course subscribe to them first if I'm not that already, but let's just take a small one maybe. I can't remember how big that is, but now I enabled this mod here. So this will be loaded when I start the server. For clients, when joining a server, the game itself will figure out what mods needs to be enabled or downloaded and subscribed to, and it will do that. So if you as a host have this mod enabled and you're starting this map here, then all clients will automatically download this map, load that map, download this mod and load that mod. So everybody have the same, but the game will figure that out and do that for you. It's only the host that decide what mods to load. So you as a client or clients cannot have their own mods enabled as it is right now, because it doesn't really make sense. It might make sense in the future if there are some client only mods, but let's not get into that. So the host decides what mods should be on the server by doing it this way. So then when you're going now, load this flat map, because I don't want to load this one because this is a little more heavy map. We will get in here and we will see I enabled one mod, but as you will see in the bottom here, it's actually, okay, it was very fast now, but you will see that it's actually loading 50 mods. So you might think, why that? I only enabled one. The thing is, without going into too many details, is that one mod on mod.io can actually contain a lot of mods inside it. And that's what's happening here. This mod contains, it was like 50 other sub mods inside it. So the amount of mods you subscribe to is not the same as the amount of mods being loaded, because some only have one, some have 50, some have 100 or whatever. And it's the amount that you see when you're loading here. That's the amount that takes up the time for actually loading the map and loading the mods. Which brings me to the first bullet I actually have here, that you can easily have too many mods, because often I see people say, oh, it takes too long to load the game and stuff like that. And that is right, but a lot of you also have 400 or 500 mods installed. That's a lot. Try and go to any game and install 400 mods in like Minecraft or Ark or whatever, Rust or whatever, and download or install and load like 400 mods. That's a lot. So as a host, if you want it to be easy to join your server and it needs to be fast to join your server, it's recommended to keep the amount of mods to a minimum. So pick the ones you actually want and nothing else. Don't just take everything in, because it will add so much to the loading time. In the future, hopefully the mods will be a little smaller packs, so there will be more mods in the mod UI in the workshop, but the amount of mods inside each of these mods will be less, meaning so you can more pick and choose whatever you want, instead of having to pick one and then get 50 things in there. Maybe you only want some of them. So maybe in the future, hopefully we can do it. Modders will package together in smaller bundles. But right now, because we are in a beta, it's also easier for the mod creators to just put them in bigger chunks and upload them, because it's less stuff to maintain from their side. But we have talked about it, and I think it will be changed over time to be more fine-grained, you could say. Anyway, so the takeaway here is don't subscribe into too many mods as a host, because all clients will need to have the same and it will take time to load into the host. So pick the ones you want. And then do another host and another time with some other mods, so you try different things, of course. Anyway, that's the too many mods. Then talking about maps, maybe we should go out here. That's also something that people maybe not think about. There is a difference to the maps, and it's not always obvious, not from what you are seeing here. For instance, the Amnesty Germantown here is a very popular map because it looks super nice. And even though the size seems fairly small, I don't know how it is compared to other ones. Okay, it's actually pretty big compared to other ones. Let's see. This one is also a big one. But at least right now, and I am talking with Amnesty so we can see if we can figure out why, but this particular map, which is very popular, takes a long time to load, and it requires a lot of memory on clients and host when loaded. So if you are having trouble either joining a host or hosting a server, try a different map, because the map can also have a huge impact on the memory load on your machine, both as a host and as a client. So when you're sitting here and you may maybe not have too much RAM available on your machine, take a look at here. This will be a little better aligned in the future, but maybe take some maps that is smaller. And which one is smaller? Try, because the size in the workshop is not the same as it will take up memory. There's some different things, technical stuff in there. But maybe if you try and join Amnesty Germantown and it keeps crashing, then maybe try another server with another map. Also another hint here. You can see the mod count up here, and this is let me think. I think this is actually the subscribe mods, and yeah, that's still a little confusing. It will be better in the future, but at least you get a hint up here how many mods is installed. But this is the mod.io mods and not the actual mods loaded. So these 8 can be maybe 150 mods, but you don't know at this point. So yeah, I will make something better there in the future. Just know that the maps have a big impact also on how much load is put on you as a host and on the clients that are joining. Let's go in again here. So the takeaway here, maps can have a big impact on how heavy the server is to run and host and join. Okay, so getting in here, let's make it daytime, so just because then we can see a little more. So when you are in here, as a host, you can do a little more stuff than as a client, as you might have discovered. Something that is not very clear is that you can lock stuff. So as a host, you can actually lock items by right-clicking. So if people keep spamming like Tim here, you can just right-click and log it, and the same with castles, for instance, or some other stuff that you don't want, fontaines, whatever. So you can right-click and then log it, and then no one can spawn these in the server. So that's one way of managing your server. Again, in the future, there will be some kind of hint that you can do this, because right now you have to know. You can't see it anywhere. There's no visual or any help or whatever. But again, it's a beta. Yeah, that's how it works. You can log it by right-clicking. Another thing is this server tab here. And as you might have discovered, as a host, you have these kick and ban buttons. I don't have to explain what they do. I'm pretty sure you know what they do. And of course, you cannot kick yourself. I think you don't get any message here in this version. I think you get in the next version. I have added something so you get a pop-up saying that you can't. But anyway, you can hit F1 to get the console down, and then you can see it says here, unable to kick the host. And talking about the F1 console here, as it also says here, because still, as you can see here, the host setting, it's the idea that there should be host settings over here that you can change just with the mouse. So you don't have to use the commands. But as I said in the beginning, it's faster for me to do these commands and therefore faster to test various things. So I just put in some text here to help you as a host. But basically what it says is that you can use these FM host commands in the console to change stuff. For instance, you can clear fireworks. So if you go in here and you spawn some stuff, as a player and as a host, if you click this one down here, clear fireworks, right now you can't see a difference because it's only me in the server, but clear fireworks clears all of your fireworks. So for the host, it's the host fireworks. For clients, it's their fireworks. So that's a way to clear whatever you spawned as a host or as a client to get your count reset, you could say. But right now you can't see a difference because it's only me in here. What you can also do is, as it says here in the console, in the server, FM host clear fireworks. And that one, and then you just start typing and you can see that it's suggesting what I can do here. That's very good to know. So you just write FM dash host dash, and then you get all the host commands, and then you can use tab to just go through them. And we want to go to the log or the clear fireworks and just hit enter, and then it clear all the fireworks. So that means everything in the host, also the stuff, all the stuff that all the players spawn. So this is actually a good idea to run this from time to time if you have a host session that is long. Another command is the max allowed objects spawn per player. So that was the one I showed in the UI in the beginning. So host max, and you can see here, I can't remember the names. I'm also just looking here then using tab. So you go to max allowed player and max allowed. And if you don't put anything in, just hit enter, you will get the number that is the current set to, which is 15. And then you can press up on your keyboard if you want to go back to the previous thing you put in. And then we can say 25. And then if I do it again, that we get 25. So now we can spawn 25. I can test it now because I'm the host, so the host can just keep spawning stuff. Yeah, then there's a little other funny one. Host can change the weather. So whoops. So we go to here and we go to host weather, and we can make it foggy maybe. So then you can see it becomes cloudy and more foggy here. So that's another one. And you can see, and you can go on adventure yourself here in the host commands. I might add, this video is recorded in January, so there might be other or stuff might be removed. And something you can't call anymore, like the max players. I think we could do that at some point, but now you will just get a setting the max player after starting the game is no longer supported. So you'll get messages like that. You can also kick players from here, and you can lock and ban people. You can also lock player spawn. So if you hit enter, you can see it says false. So if you go in and say true, then you can see what people are spawning. So you can see that whoever spawns what in the console, sorry. So you can see here, allow Mania spawned cake criminals. Be aware that this is adding a lot to your log, but this gives you an idea to see if somebody is spawning a lot of whack stuff. Again, stuff like this will most likely get into the UI at some point, so it's easier to figure out. But for now, it's in here in the console because, again, it's a beta, and this is the easiest way for me to do it right now. Minimum time, yeah, I think you can actually write man for manual, and then the spawn command, and I think you get a little description here. Minimum time in seconds allowed between player spawns. So this is where you can set, and you can see it's set to 0.2. So that's the minimum time between spawns. I don't know if this setting is actually that useful anymore, because right now we can set the amount that can actually respawn. So yeah, but this is what we used in the alpha to prevent spammers. So we set this amount high, so you could only spawn one thing every 30 seconds. But the new setting of having a account for each player amount of spawn things makes more sense, really. But anyway, now you know how to use the console and do these kind of commands, and you can just test them out. And talking about ban and commands and all that, just as a little side info, if you go into the console and hit this log folder, you will get into a folder like this, where you have blueprints, data, mod.io, blah 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 blah. This is also where you can clear out your mods just by deleting these mods folder, not while the game is running, but afterwards. But anyway, all your host settings are saved into this host file here. So if we try and open that, this, you can see that everything is actually saved in here. Why is it not JSON? If you open up this file, you can see that you have some host setting here, but what might be interesting is all these game configs here. Like you have all the IDs of the mods that are loaded. You can see there's one mod, which is this one, and what map, the name of the map, what items are logged, and then these other settings here. And this is saved, as you can see, in this folder. So the next time you start a host, it will take these settings and reuse them. So you don't have, not the map, of course, and the mods, because they are depending on what you selected in the game, but the rest of these will be set based on this file. So you don't have to set up the same thing every time you start a host. Also in here, there will be a file if you ban people from the server. There is a banned players or something like that. I don't have any right now, but there is a JSON file in here with the banned players. So if you want to unban someone, you need to go in here, open that file, and then remove that entry for that player if you want to unban. Yeah, I think that's it for now. That was actually a lot. It was actually over 20 minutes. Let's see if I can cut it down just a bit, but that's it. So this is a little guide, or actually a long guide to how to host a server. But the most important part is actually, I think, these commands, and then being aware that the amount of mods have a big impact on load time. It seems like not all players are aware of that. Yeah, keep the amount of mods to a minimum that you actually want. Don't install all mods. Never recommended to do that. But that's it. See you, and happy hosting and happy gaming. And yeah, keep checking back because I'm keep updating the game, especially this multiplayer version. I plan to update that a lot. So what you saw here might have changed already in a few weeks. So this was how it was in January 7th, 2024. See you.